Welcome to Yapsville, the podcast about my crazy ass life. My name is Mateo, your host, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Welcome to the first ever podcast I've ever made. I hope I do a good enough job that you keep on listening. And welcome to the first episode. This first episode is just going to be dedicated to what this podcast is going to be about, and I'm just going to dedicate it to a little introduction of me. And if you have any further questions, comments, suggestions even, if you have any advice, please go ahead, feel free to share them. You can find my email address in my YouTube description. I will also be trying to link that with my Spotify, but if you cannot find it, that is okay. Just search up the title, Welcome to Yapsville, in the YouTube search bar, and you will find it. And if you can't tell by the name of the show, I love to talk. I speak Japanese, which is why I created this podcast. Some people get sick of me just sitting there and talking, and up to the point they're like, shut the fuck up. And that's okay. I now have another outlet where I can just sit and talk about my life, the crazy situations that have happened to me. And I just want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank my friends for helping me make this opportunity to share my life on the internet a reality. And I really think it could be beneficial to some to hear about the life lessons I have learned, to hear stories I have, and learn and grow from those stories as people. Now, I do want to preface everything regarding this podcast that it can and will get graphic at some point. There is graphic language used. If you do not like the words shit, fuck, bitch, ass, motherfucker, if you don't like any of those, get off now, because you will not like how I talk. And I refuse to censor anything for one specific person out of the many that will listen to me. And even if an episode is going to be super graphic, like I'm talking about, let's say traumatic experiences, I will put like a forewarning, like a trigger warning at the beginning, letting you know, hey, this is what the episode's going to be about. So come in with your mind open, with your mind ready to absorb that information. And if you don't want to listen to it, if you're not ready to hear that kind of story, that's okay. You do not have to listen. No one is going to force you. And I'm also going to be putting like a short description, like a short summary of the podcast episode in each description. So for instance, for this episode, I'm going to be putting in the description the title of what this series is going to be named, and also just letting you know that this is basically a pilot episode. This is basically just an introduction to what this is going to be about. And this will be a huge stepping stone into paving the road for future episodes to come. Now, I believe I explained what this podcast is going to be about well enough. Let's just get into introducing myself. And just so you know, this episode's going to be short and sweet, just a little introduction to get it out of the way, so I don't have to do little introductions every fucking episode, because that is fucking bullshit. But hello, my name is Mateo. I am 19 years old, and I can speak a little bit of Spanish. For instance, puedo hablar un poquito español, y igualmente quiero matarme, y otras cosas como mierda y pinche culo and stuff like that. You know, if you understood what I just said, props to you, because You know more than one language, which is really, really cool. But I do know more than just those bad words, and I do know more than just how to say Me llamo Mateo y tengo 19 años y otra cosas. I know other things. It's just difficult to, say how much I know because with English, I'm obviously fluent, but I do not have like a count of the vocabulary words that I know. And I'm also continuing to learn Spanish. I'm continuing to work on Spanish. So I could probably do a full on episode just in Spanish for the fun of it. I will also leave like a translation or whatever if you want. I will record a translation of it. But yeah, as I continue to learn Spanish, um, at work, I will definitely go and share it with you guys. Like, I speak Spanish at work because I answer the phones for a answering company. You know, like after hours emergency dispatch service, if that makes sense, and after hours messaging center. I answer the phone and there is mainly English speakers, but since I work in a place where there is a strong amount of Spanish speakers, I have to know a little bit of Spanish just so I can get a message in. And I do pretty good. Although I have Google Translate up, I say, uno momento, necesito traducirlo, and they understand. Because as I'm translating it, I'm explaining, lo siento, solamente sé un poco español y necesito traducirlo, no sé la palabra, si entiendes. And they're like, okay, entiendo, and stuff like that. I also know ciao, buenas noches, buenas tardes, and stuff like that to close out the call. And one time I had someone call in, they were giving me their phone number. They were going, I think it was, they said the phone number in hundreds. I unfortunately cannot count that high in Spanish. I could probably only count to maybe 50 if I really wanted to, but like 30, 40, that's the furthest I can go. But anyways, I was trying to tell her, no, um, necesito el número de teléfono, número por número. Like number by number. And she kept saying the fucking hundreds numbers. And I'm like, ma'am. And I said, disculpe, puede decir el número como 717 y 301. No sé cómo cantar eso mucho, if that makes any sense. Like, I have a little bit of Spanish, just not enough for me to have a fluent conversation. I'm also a very adventurous person. I love to travel. I love to drive. I really, really, really cannot wait for the day that my job will go remote and I can basically afford to get a new laptop and I can just take work with me, get hotels, go on trips, and just work. At the hotel, I can work from anywhere as long as there is Wi Fi. But for example, like how much I like to drive, one day I woke up at like 11:50 p.m. and I'm like, "Oh my god. I'm going to go to fucking Niagara Falls." So, I drove that 7-hour ass drive the whole way to fucking Niagara Falls on these back roads, and I get there, it's like 7 in the morning, and I just watched the sunset. I'm in Canada, by the way. I drove the whole way to fucking Canada, and I watched the sunrise, and I go back across the border, and I go home. It was really fun. I wish I stayed there a little bit longer. I wish I had the time and the money to stay there a little bit longer because I would have done a lot more. But at the time, I was just fired from a previous job and I didn't have the money. All I had was gas money and a little bit of food money. But yeah, I am a very adventurous spirit. I do not plan anything ahead really unless it's like work or doctor's appointments or stuff like that. Um and I'm very much a night owl. The time right now is 12:59, almost 1 in the morning. I work late, I stay up late, I sleep in. I do not do well getting up really early. I also am going to be getting a puppy. Um he's going to be a big ass dog, but I'm going to love him. I am adopting him from what's it called? The Humane Society a couple towns over, and I just hope that he's he's just I just hope that he's cuddly and fun to play with and just a great dog to take on little trips because like I said, I love to go on trips. I love to drive, and I will do a whole episode on him whenever I get him. And I also want to talk about like my familial situation. So, I am not an only child. I have two brothers and a sister. I am in the middle. I have one half brother, the little brother, he's a half brother. So, total four children, three siblings, and my parents are split up. That is a whole episode for another day. I could probably bring my mom on here if she wants to speak about her divorce and how crazy it was. I think that would be a funny episode or just like entertaining. Just advice to give to people that are in similar situations as she was in. And she powered through that. She was a single mother with two little boys. Two boys. One, two, one that's three. And she was pregnant with my little sister. And she powered through. She is a strong woman. She did online college on top of on top of taking care of me, my brother, and my sister. She was able to find new love with my stepdad. He's awesome, by the way. Father figure I never had. Like, he was, I don't want to say replacement, but that's basically what he was. And I'm really grateful for that. And my mom literally did so much for us. I want to take this time and say thank you, Mom. You were great. You did great. And I hope one day to return the favor. And you too, stepdad. You were great. I appreciate ya. I know I don't say it enough, but if you're listening, I do appreciate ya. Now, my real dad, on the other hand, I am in no contact with him. He is a narcissistic, manipulative little cunt, and I hate him. We do not get along. He is just so far up his own ass that he cannot fathom someone having a different opinion than him, if that makes sense. And the amount of trauma that man put me through, it was so much. But I'm not gonna get into that today. If I ever wanna get into that, I will. And I will also see about my siblings getting on the track as well. Cause I think that would be like a fun episode. Me and my sister and my brother talking about what had happened in our life. And how those experiences made us stronger people. And I also think that every time I want to say, like, I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to say there. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. I apologize. You just had to hear me ramble on for a little bit. But, oh yeah, I was going to close the episode. Yes. I do appreciate you guys for listening. That's a little bit introduction for me. A little introduction for this podcast, for what it's going to be about. And for what it's worth, I don't care if this doesn't do well. This is just a little side project. I don't need it to go off to fucking Mars and come back. I don't need it to blast off like that. I don't want fame like that. I don't want to be out in public and get recognized just because my name. And for that reason, I'm not going to be sharing my last name, my middle name, any information about me further. And I'm sure you can understand why. But, anyways, I thank you for listening. Tune in for the next one. I believe I'm going to do like a weekly, bi weekly upload schedule. I don't know. I will figure that out. But once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And I hope you have a great night. Thank you. Or day. I don't know. You could be listening to this in the morning on your way to work or at night on your way home. Whatever. I don't care. You could be cleaning your fucking pussy right now. I don't know. But I hope you have a great whatever the hell you're doing. I hope you have fun. I hope you get whatever you need to done. And thank you for tuning in. Have a good one.